Hey, welcome back to the X Podcast. This should be a very quiet conversation.
Very quiet.
Boring table today. Sitting across. You look very professorial.
That's what I did.
And
I get out the quarter zip whenever I feel like I need to do something kind of professional.
yeah, today you look like you're about to teach and play golf in the snow.
That's it.
The collar's kind of popped too, which is giving
Yes.
not what I think you.
Yeah, OC vibes.
Yeah, baby. OC.
And we got Mr. Tucker Johnson. When was the last time you were on?
I don't remember.
Hey,
A while ago.
you should turn the
Sorry.
microphone toward you. I know you're
Sorry.
not used to talking into a microphone.
Yeah, I'm not used to it.
He is in
I
go
was-
mode today, calling you out right at the beginning.
I know. He's probably mad because I took this Diet Coke from his office.
I bet you left the door open to the little refrigerator too.
Probably.
You do every time.
Wait, really?
It's
Yeah.
like a trap door, though.
You
Like, it
can't just
happens.
close it from a distance. You gotta. It's probably open and beeping right now.
Well, he likes Coke Zero, but somehow he always has Diet Coke and
Uh,
Coke Zero.
they
So
got-
I'm just assuming it's for me.
They are. I don't drink Diet Coke.
Which I heard
Unless I
your
have
new
to.
door was left open overnight.
My new door was like.
I drove by your new door today, early in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah, can we announce?
6:45 in the
announced it
morning.
on social media.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
Tell the audience. Well, tell you what. First off, for anybody that's brand new to the podcast or doesn't go to our church or whatever, I feel like everybody knows Tucker Johnson. But for those that don't, who are you? What do you do here?
Tuck Jones.
And what's some of your new news in life?
Well, at the church, I am over creative, so I oversee like social media and worship. Which
You're to
is,
blame.
Yeah, I'm to blame for the real. I still have a job. I'm as surprised as you are. But oversee the fun stuff that we get to do and help put together, sets for worship and lead our worship team, which we have so many amazing band and vocalists on our team that are so great. And then we also have a social media team that is just awesome, that comes and serves and takes content on Sunday mornings so that me and Lydia don't have to be running around with our phones out recording people all the time. But I'm from the Columbus area, grew up here, got married to somebody that also grew up here, and we just had a baby.
It's like a small town movie. Anna wasn't she like homecoming queen?
She was Miss Canal Winchester.
Miss
Yes,
Canal Winchester.
That's
At the same
a
time,
prestigious role.
Because what was it? Kaylin something
Yes.
at the same time.
Yes.
Kaylin
She
Welch.
was like, I don't know if they were at the same
Miss
time or at
Fairfield
different
County.
times. They were both Miss Canal Winchester.
Oh
though.
my
That's
goodness.
isn't that just like
Hilarious.
yeah. And then your family runs probably. I mean, the most famous. I think one of the most famous provinces probably in Ohio or the Midwest, but especially Canal Winchester, the Brock Strong Foundation.
Yes, it's always a fun game when someone says hi to me in a grocery store that I don't know. I'm like, do you know me from Brock Strong, from X Church, from my parents, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, where do you know me from? But yeah, my parents run the Brock Strong Foundation. It's been going for over 10 years now, and they just have put over $2 million back into our little community, which is super fun. And the big news that you were talking about earlier is I bought a house.
In downtown.
Kind of.
We're
bought-
renovating a
no.
house.
You bought a project.
Yes. Well, I didn't even buy anything yet. I signed up for a project.
Which we've talked about this on here, so it's the same
Rebuilt.
format,
Yep.
rebuilt through Kevin Illich, which people may not know is your brother-in-law.
Yep. Yep, we sure did.
Have you guys ever seen an old there's an old movie that I want you and your wife to go watch now that you bought this house.
Gone with the Wind.
No. This is it's probably
The Incredibles.
from the 80s or 90s.
Casablanca.
It's called It's called The Money Pit. I want you to go see if you can find it and watch it. It's a comedy, and it's basically the story of your life now.
Oh.
They buy this big, huge, beautiful house, and then they find out how much of a money pit it is. All the stuff's just breaking, and all you got.
Are you trying to encourage him?
Yeah,
or-
yeah. I'm making, because he's got to redo. They're redoing the house, so it's not going to be like that. But that's the whole point of it. They bought this beautiful looking house, and then it ends up being a massive money pit, and it tests their marriage. And so I think it would be. I think it'd just be a fun.
prophecy, or-
No, I think it would be a fun movie for you guys just to watch. It's old.
Yeah.
I'm sure the footage is
Yeah.
old, but it's still entertaining.
It'd be encouraging.
Yeah.
You found a cat in there?
Yeah, the owners left the cat.
Alive?
It's really funny because when me and Anna would talk about our dream home.
I mean, can we talk about all the weirdness?
Yeah.
Is that okay publicly?
Maybe not all, but some.
Okay.
Our dream home was always like, the house with a lot of land and like out of town a little bit. And we bought the opposite.
Yeah.
It's like it's a beautiful, beautiful historic house that was built in the 1800s that
Whoa.
actually used to be the parsonage to the church that's right down the street.
Oh, really?
And they put an expansion on it because the pastor had so many kids. So the expansion that's on our house is because it was expanded for him. And it was in the same family for a long time. The daughter inherited it, and they just had lots of animals, and so there's lots of animal damage and stuff like that. But we're excited to move in and bring some new life to it. And Kevin, if you listen to the podcast, he's just Mr. Ideas and has just blown our minds with what this house could turn into. The first time we walked through it, I told Anna, I was like, I don't know. Like, my parents, built every house that they've lived in. So I guess in my mind,
new build.
Flipping a house is we don't do that. But the more we, sat in it and thought about it, and it's, super meaningful to my wife, who grew up going there and doing crafts with the lady that lived there.
Wow.
And her mom grew up in the house that's right across the street from our house. So it's just, super sentimental for her family, and I've just fallen in love with the potential of, obviously I love Canal Winchester. I love downtown. I'm always at Coffee on High and Shades. And so now I can walk there instead of drive there.
It's weird. Not in the winter, but same. The reality of walking to downtown has been amazing, but whereas mine's a 10-minute walk, yours is a minute.
Yeah.
Literally a minute, which is wild. But he is the master at that. He can see vision. Because I was the same way. When I first saw, he's like, check this out. And he's seeing all this. I'm like, my man, I think I'm decent at vision. I'm not seeing what you're seeing.
Yeah.
I talked to you. I was like, hey, what, am I missing something? You were one of the main people. You're like, no, I think you need to.
I think you need to do it.
You need to do this. And I was like, okay, I can see it. But y'all's will be just like mine, where I'm like, okay, I can see the potential, but then when it's done, it's a freaking dream. And I've seen y'all's mood board. I mean, y'all are so creative and imaginative anyway, so it'll be fun.
It's been our whole life the past 2 months, and I don't think it's gonna stop.
No.
Well, catch us up a little bit, since we can't remember the last time you were on. Life over the last year and a half. I mean, you've had some career shifts, not here, but you had some career shifts, family additions, all kind of stuff.
I had a second job from here for almost 2 years. I was the creative director at Maverick City Music. Loved it, had a lot of fun, got so much great experience and things that I never thought I would get to do. And it worked really well because at the same time, Anna was in school. So, I would come home from work and she would be doing homework. And so I'm like, well, I might as well, make some side money and do it. And so that worked for a while. And then as soon as we had Ruby in February, I didn't want to be on my computer when I got home. So walked away from that, which was scary because I think if you look at, my resume or, from the outside looking in, it would be well, why would you walk away from that and not this? But I just felt like God pressing me to be more present with my family and to just press into this church and give it my all, and take the stuff that I learned from there to equip, the people that I get to lead that serve under me. And so it's been fun to only work here now and have my full focus be here and see all of the cool things that I learned and the techniques and the strategies and, just the connections you make. It just helps so much. And there's people that I know that we just did a merch line at our church that did super well and sold out. And the reason that I even found that garment or that blank of some random company is because this guy I worked with at Insignia knew somebody who printed on it, and you know what I mean? So it's been cool to see the little connections that I've been able to make and just to get to meet other creatives. But yeah, so I just work here now and do some freelance stuff on the side.
It's wild because, obviously, Mav City, if you're in the church world, huge. And you've been able to bring, like you said, that experience here, but also you were able to bring your personal experience there. And, the music industry is an interesting industry, but, and you're able to meet some amazing people. But, I know people that are part of worship movements or Christian music industry that you can assume a lot as far as, what leadership is always there, what spirituality is always there. But it's been phenomenal what you have brought back here. This is a big question, but what would be one or two leadership nuggets, principles you feel like you've learned or relearned or been trying to re-engage in this past season?
I feel like the biggest one is that nobody really knows what they're doing.
So it's encouraging.
The farthest I would go up and the people I would talk to that you would just think man, they just know it all starts the same. It all starts with some people sitting around a table coming up with ideas. Like I got to be a part of a call with Will Smith's, like the Will Smith's management team and their marketing team, and I left it like they're great and they do amazing work, but I was like, that was like a meeting at X Church. You know what I mean? Like it's just people sitting around throwing out crazy ideas, and then you run with one and like, oh, let's do that. No, let's not do that.
Did you put his name in your mouth?
No.
Yeah, okay. Why were you in a meeting with Will Smith's creative team?
We Maverick did a collab with them, with him.
Oh, they did
Yeah.
with Will Smith? I don't
He
remember
did
that.
a gospel album, and Maverick was like the choir behind it. So he
Oh.
like partnered with them to like kind of tap into that gospel
Mm.
market. You know what I mean? That's a whole other branch of.
That's actually from his background. He grew up
Really?
in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I make the joke. I'm actually a big Will Smith fan.
I
I
am.
don't know if you remember, but right when did you ever read the book?
I listened to it, and
Okay.
I told you should have
Yes.
listened to that book, not read it.
Okay, but I told
That
you about
was
it 'cause
amazing.
right before that happened, or as that happened in 2022, or whatever, I had just finished his autobiography, and it is if you're looking for a
it's
new
a
book,
fascinating
it's incredible.
read.
It's actually really good, and it gives you empathy for some
Yeah.
of his
It's
life.
it's a better listen than read because
he read it?
he reads it. There's music, so when he's talking about like old school growing up and going to his grandma's church and the choir is this, you hear all the choir voices and you hear a
that's
song
cool.
come in, and then you hear a preacher like it's a beautifully mixed. It's not just his voice. Like there's so many different. When he talks about entering the rap industry and starting out in there, you hear different beats and different stuff. So it's by far I think it's a better listen than a read, just because you get a totally different flavor.
Yeah,
It's good.
he's a cool guy. His team was awesome. But yeah, I feel like that was the most shocking. You just always think the grass is greener on the other side, or the people that make like 10 times the amount of money you make, you just think like they have it figured out and I'm missing something. And I feel like the more I met people and got my hands dirty and got to work on some projects, I was like, oh, so we're all in the same playing field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And would you say, here's the interesting thing, because I think that some of the greatest creative talent lives in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, or in the church world, Christian world, and I think it's not always on display like everything is in either Hollywood or in those things. You don't really see it, because of what the focus is and what it's doing. But I think that there is a massive talent pool within the church. And I mean, we see that anyways. I mean, let's be honest, on The Voice, on American Idol, how many of them all started off in
Worship
church?
leaders. Yep.
They
Well,
all started off in church. So
well,
you
even
see
like Beyonce,
creatives.
Katy Perry, like all of them came from.
That's what I mean. Like, I think there's a massive amount of talent that is developed in the church that is, it's an old question that people ask. They're like, when everybody wants to hate on the church, well, if the church disappeared tomorrow, what would be the impact? Not only, I think, the impact on society and all that, but I think there'd be a massive talent miss. I think that there's a lot developed in the church, and especially the circles that we run in, that we invest a lot creatively into everything we do.
Creativity, singing, and communication. Like a lot of the greatest
Oh, yeah.
communicators in the world will say that.
Yep.
Really, yeah.
Because it's like kind of countercultural to what being a creative is, right? It's like you make art and it's like, look at what I made. And when you work at a church and when you know Jesus, it's like, I'm making this so people know him. You know what I mean? And so I think that's where, and that's not to say you can't like build your own portfolio, be proud of the work that you're a part of, and like, do side work and stuff like that. But I mean, when you work for creative for a church, it's not like every single video or thing I make at the end of it, it's like credits, Tucker Johnson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, I'm not in it for the credit. I'm in it, so people know Jesus and
All
know
right,
him.
not to put you on the spot, has it been tough in the transition? I may have asked you this personally, but has it been tough in the transition to not have, for lack of better words, a distraction from one or the other? Like when I first, mine would have been the opposite angle or chronology, but when I first got on staff at a church, I was also still working a part-time job waiting tables. And it's weird because while I was waiting tables, I was like, I can't wait till I'm just full-time ministry. And I was so grateful when I did step into full-time ministry. But I noticed, I was like, oh, this thing I was just doing with my hands gave me a mental break, because I'm like, I got out of my head and into my body. And then when I went straight into that, which you'd already been doing ministry full-time. But I know for me, it was just like, oh, there's no like break. Like I'm doing this, and I have to be my spirit, my mind, my body, like my energy has to be full and present and focused. Did you notice? Because I know it would frustrate you at times because you're like, okay, I'm a husband and I've got pretty much 2 full-time jobs, so I know it's stressful.
Yeah.
When you had 2 jobs, but looking back, once you switched back full-time here, was it ever? Oh man, it was kind of.
It's hard because like my role here and my role there was very similar. So
Yeah,
like
that's
I
true.
was living in
Yeah.
Photoshop in both jobs. I was like giving feedback in both jobs. So it honestly felt like when I was done, it was like, wow, I don't have to I don't have to open Photoshop when I get home.
That's true because every time we'd hang out, like if we hung out like at 8 or 9, you'd be bringing your computer,
Yeah.
and you're like, yep.
There was a moment we went on a baby moon trip before before Ruby was born, and we were driving around looking for elk because we were in Jackson Hole, and we wanted to find elk so bad. And Anna's driving, and I'm like on my computer on a Zoom call with Maverick, like getting feedback on something, and Anna was driving around for 2.5 hours, and I didn't even look up to see like a single
my
elk,
gosh.
and she was like, we have to figure out a way for you to not have 2 jobs. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we do. But one of our friends, Ronnie, had told us, what?
You won't be able to see this if you're watching, but we have Maria creepily looking from the what do we call that? The bird's nest or
Yeah,
whatever.
there you go.
Your
Anyways,
room.
Eagle's nest.
Eagle's nest.
But anyway, one of our friends, Ronnie, she leads our small group. She had said something along the effects of like, when you have a job that like works with your heart, your like hands are your hobbies. You know what I mean? And when you have a job that it's your hands, your heart is your hobby. And so I feel like I've tried to figure out ways to, bring new life when I'm not here and I'm not using my like heart and my head all day to like play with Ruby and mow the grass and rake leaves and to try to find like fulfillment.
Do you need to do more of that to help you offset? Like if you,
Well, with
I
this
mean,
house,
I've got some things
I'll
if
have
you need
plenty
to.
of things to
Yeah,
do.
okay. all right.
It is very true. Like on my Saturdays usually my Sabbath, and I'll read some. But I think it was like Chris Hodge was talking about a similar principle of the Sabbath. He's like, if you're working with your mind all week, he's like, for him it was like, I want to go work in the garden.
Yep.
Or if you're with your body all week, your hands, is like, then okay, read a book, whatever it is, and find some sort of
I agree.
refreshing contrast or whatever it might be. All right, I got another. I never really asked these kind of spiritual questions, but I know we talk offline a lot about what God's teaching you. What's something that you feel like God's doing in you? You're learning spiritually.
Man, I mean, I feel like the past 4 years, it's just been a slow process of God teaching me what it looks like to plant roots and to just keep showing up, because I think I'm an Enneagram 7, so I don't know how you feel about the Enneagram. I'm just kidding. I'm an Enneagram 7.
Don't tell Jackie Hilperry.
And I always love like to start things and I hate to finish things. And I love so I was thriving when I went to high school, and then I moved to Virginia and I got to start my life over and got a new church and got to make new friends. And then when I moved back here and started working here, it was just kind of like, oh, this is really the last big thing. And then especially like when you have a kid, it's like once you have one kid, it's like, okay, well, I mean, we could have another kid, but there's not a whole lot of like, I'm going to pick myself up and move. But anyway, so I think I just had a hard time with that. And I think that's when I started working at Maverick, was when I was in like a weird phase of like, I don't know what I want to do. And so I'm just going to pick this up and try it. And so obviously now I don't have that. And I think what God's been teaching me is just what it looks like to actually develop a deep personal relationship with him and not need to change things or distract myself, but just to like be in his presence and have that be more than enough, know? I think that especially with me and Anna, like when we got married, we both thought we were Enneagram 7s, which I don't know why. In premarital counseling, they were like, this isn't going to work out. She's a 6, but we both have that kind of like.
Is she really?
Yeah. She's a 6.
6 wing 7.
Yes. But,
And you're a 7 wing 8.
yes. So, I think that.
Wait, so she's 6'7"?
I was
No.
like, did you hear me stutter?
Did
It's
you
'cause
say
I
that?
thought
Yeah.
that. I was gonna make the joke, and I was like, no.
Sorry.
But anyway, we both have that edge about us. It's like go with the wind and have fun. And when we were like it's 1 a.m. and we want donuts. Like, let's drive to Lancaster and get a donut. Like, that's just how we
Shout
are.
out Donut World 24/7.
Y'all are made for each other. Like
Bro.
every story, y'all are like dressing up in
Yeah.
your spare time.
Yeah.
You're like, jumping out like jumping on the
Airplanes.
bed.
Like, let's book a
pillow
trip to
fight.
New York City. I don't know how we're going to get there, but we're going to do it. And so I think that
That
we
sounds like
thought,
you guys.
you just always say, like, okay, well, once I have a full-time job, like, I won't be like that. Or, like, once I have a kid for us, like, I was like, well, once we have Ruby, like, we'll be fine. Like, we'll have to stay home. And for some reason, God gave us the easiest, most chill,
Yeah.
go with the flow baby that I've ever seen in my entire life.
I
So
love
we
that
can
y'all
just-
still live.
We
I
do still
love
live.
that.
But I do think something that God's been teaching me is, there's beauty in structure and to like wake up not, 20 minutes
Routine.
before you have to run out the door. Yeah,
Is holy.
it is.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. That's what I heard. I heard routine is close to heaven.
But yeah.
Interesting. At
a
least
creature
at
of
least
routine.
at least one podcast I have to throw out a quote. The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho,
Uh-huh.
most famous,
Yeah,
well-sold book besides the Bible. His quote is, "If you think adventure is lethal, try routine. It's deadly."
Deadly
So
awesome.
That's but no, I love it, and I'm a little bit biased too. But Ruby's the freaking cutest thing in the
Oh,
universe.
she's
Oh my
adorable.
gosh.
She's fun. She just learned how to clap, so everything is a clap. When she's drinking her bottle, she like tries to clap at the same time. And when you walk in to wake her up, as soon as she sees you, she claps. Which is funny because I'm kind of like that. Like I'll be like,
oh, yeah.
yeah, about everything.
Bro,
and so now,
what if she's like
that
you?
about everything.
I know.
What if she's a little you?
We're doomed.
Oh my gosh.
She is.
Yeah. There's only enough room for one Tucker.
Well, me and Anna are so crazy and loud and sing
guys-
at home.
oh, I can
that
only
she's
imagine.
like so unfazed. Like I didn't realize that babies don't like that they actually get scared because I'll be in Ruby's face like bah bah and she laughs and thinks it's funny. And we have a nephew that's 2 months younger than Ruby. And I went up to him at Anna's mom's house and I was like bah and he was like I'm like oh sorry I forgot they're not all traumatized.
Some have a spirit of fear, but Ruby does not. Well, what I'm hearing is that you are holy and spiritual, but at the same time, can we talk about just some of the blasphemy and some of the heresy? Now I want to talk about social media. Obviously, it was I don't know when this will come out, but
Yeah.
one of the
Couple weeks
episodes
ago.
we talked about a little bit of the baptism reel, and again, if you want to know who's responsible for that,
That's Tucker.
they may be to my right. I don't know. And so maybe we'll hit that. But one of the things you mentioned that you're over is social media, and I think when you started here, even when you began interning, even before you came on full time as staff, were you already helping with social media? Is that correct?
Yes, that was part of my internship, and then I got contracted. Like Trey put me on a monthly retainer, and I ran socials from Virginia.
In Virginia. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Before COVID.
And at the time you took over, it was talk numbers for a moment. Instagram was at 1,000,
Yeah, probably about 1,000.
and right now that's 2018, 19,
2020.
2020. Okay.
Yeah, during COVID.
Dang. I knew that's when you came on full time. Okay. And then right now it's 2025, end of 2025, and Instagram is at what?
13,000.
13,000, which is
Yeah.
wild. And obviously, God's done amazing things in our church, and we've stepped into this building, and we're just grateful for just the ministries that have expanded. But obviously, so much of that is you and crazy. Shout out to, you mentioned this, but team, not only just of staff and creative team and staff, but the creative team in general. We have how many people serving in photography, creative, socials?
I think we have 26 people that either film anywhere from filming reels, making graphics. That's not including the people on full-time staff. These
Yep.
are all servant leaders. Take photo, video, content create. We have Hope. I don't know if she's ever been on the podcast, but
Yeah.
Hope does amazing things with tracking our engagement, and she comes in 1 day a week. And Lydia obviously is the backbone that holds us all together. That she kind of handles all the other accounts other than our main church account.
Lydia.
Because
So,
what
yeah.
what accounts we have? We have X Church, Inspired, X Co, X Youth, X Kids,
Not X Kids, X
X
Worship,
X Worship,
and
Mine.
and yours.
They help manage
Tim
mine.
Moore
Yep.
Online.
Tim Moore.online. We
You remember-
changed it.
switched it. We
You
changed
changed
it.
it.
We really, I think it's funny because the people here I do socials for a church, it's very confusing, especially to my grandma. Like she does not understand what that means and how much thought goes into it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we have tracked every single post, the metric, how many likes we get, what kind of share and engagement we get. I mean, we track it all for multiple years. Like I could show you a spreadsheet of everything. And I was thinking about that meeting when we were going back and forth about changing your name on Instagram. And we're all like, TimMoore.online. How does that feel? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
So funny.
For anybody that's not used to Archive Church or is older,
Yeah.
why do these things matter?
Man,
Yeah.
because
It's not
this is
spiritual.
this is my soapbox. I think
Get on a soapbox.
back in the day, I think people would think like your church website was like the front door to your church. But in reality, there's no way, especially at my generation, that I would ever step foot in a church that I didn't look at their Instagram, look at their Facebook, look at something. You know what I mean? Look at their online presence.
To see what they're like.
Right. And so I think that that's our front door. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
how we get people in the building. That's how we, show what God's doing here, highlight stories is through our social media. It's the story that we're telling. And I think what our church is interesting that's fallen into is we found like a community of people that will probably never come to our church that, are far away but follow us for like our content and get inspired by us and we get inspired by them. And we found this whole community of like, I don't know. I didn't know that existed before this. And I think COVID really did change everything for socials.
Flattened a lot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everyone used it for events and they used it for announcements. And then literally my first week of full time, COVID hit and it was like, we don't have events to promote and we're going to do like messages and pre-recorded, but like post whatever you want. And so I think everyone just had to change their mind of like, okay, it's not my church's bulletin board. It's like, what is it? You know what I mean? What's the purpose behind it? And I think that's a question that we always ask ourselves when we plan out socials is like, what story are we trying to tell through this or through that? Or
I heard, was it Inside Elevation 2017, old Stephen Furtick. He said, with your personal social media and your church social media, you're either a wall or a window. And it's kind of that thing of like, you're giving people a glimpse of not just old school, what would be the events of the church, but the life of the church, of the people in the church, the stories that are going on. You're really giving people a window into the feel, the intangibles, like the vibe, the essence of the place. And so I'm curious, what goes into your mind, and it's probably evolved a little bit over the years, but like when you think about it, like obviously there are your promoting events. There are moments where you're promoting life stories. There are moments when it's silly and it's just like, this is, it's just it's fun, or it's kind of like a fun little, it's probably a lot of it. I'm the old person that just hasn't been on TikTok in years, but probably a lot of it is there's a TikTok trend or something fun that a lot of people, especially younger people, would know is going on. How do you think through the purpose, what it's for, what percentage to give to what, how to create the vibe of it? Because a lot of it, and I think it's a great thing, feels like you. And honestly, because of like your age, probably a lot of that's a good thing, because we're a very youthful church. But I don't know. How do you think through all that?
I mean, obviously, like I said, we track. So, like, we have different categories of the purpose of the post. So, some of them are like engagement. Like, we're just trying to generate engagement because Instagram and Facebook algorithm is the craziest thing ever. There's no science to it.
Yeah.
There's no, like, if you do this, you'll be successful. There are, like, posts that we've spent, like, 4 hours on that we post, and it gets, like, 20 likes in 24 hours. And then there are posts where we post, take a 5-second video and post it, and it just explodes. You know what I mean? There's no, like, gauge.
So all the people online, they're trying to sell, like, buy my course, and I'll get you this many followers, this
Yeah.
many likes. All of it's crap. Is what you're
I
saying.
don't know if I'd say that. It's pretty aggressive. I mean, there is structure and there's things, that you can learn. But I'm just saying, like, algorithm deciding what
Yeah.
Instagram
Yeah.
will push. It's like rolling the dice every
Gotcha.
single time. So we have, like, engagement posts. We have posts for, like, attendance. That's, like, reminding people that church is happening, that kind of thing. We have spiritual growth is what we call it. And that's basically, like, if Joe from California sees this post, it's going to encourage him to like follow Jesus, know who God is.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we'll pull from like message content, and instead of just putting like a reel or like, oh, this was the message from this Sunday, like, come back for the next week. It's like, what can we pull from it that we can give to people online that they don't ever need to come here and they can just know God a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so we do stuff like that. And then obviously like events. I would say 30% of our content is directed towards people that, follow us and may never go here. And I would say 20% is, I'm doing the math on my hands, is probably like announcements, events, and then 50% is just highlighting church, the message, worship, you know what I mean? Our content that we put out, we make. But yeah, I don't think I have it all figured out. And we've obviously like grown and changed and evolved over the years. And there are things we used to do that I'm like, I cannot believe we used to do that. And there are things we do now that I'm sure in like a year I'll be like, wow, no. I mean, I remember when Reels first came out and that changed everything. I mean, everything. It was like everything switched from graphics and photos to video. And that was like, how do we handle that? You know what I mean? And I remember I used to draw out our social grid on a piece of paper of like what we were posting in the next 2 weeks. And like I had gone a whole week and nothing hit over like 20 likes. And it was because I wasn't using any video because I didn't really know how. And I was a graphic designer, so I just made graphics. And we just got scrappy and we figured out how to do video, and it like our engagement went back up. So it's always changing, and that makes it fun too. You know?
That's cool.
You, I have a question for you. Let's go back to the fun. It's been said by others, shall remain nameless, that have asked the question, what's the value of jumping on trends? Let me ask that. Is there value in, and I'd say sometimes we come up with ideas that either start trends, but
you started some trends.
But like, what's the benefit? Why would a church want to do? Well, I mean, I've done ones that are. You guys are always asking me. I have to tell you no 90% of the time to do something ridiculous.
I was trying to get him to dance.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, I gotta go. I gotta go. But those are usually like you're trying to pop into the trends with them. Tell me what the purpose is of it as a church. Why are we doing one of my favorite ones that we ever did was the one that me and Raina did with the water bottle.
The water bottle.
It's the trend of the person kicking the water bottle and smacking it, and she's telling an event. And we just kind of did it. We're like, what event can we promote? But the whole point was for me to be standing there smacking a water bottle flying in front of her. That was a lot of fun, actually. But that was a trend.
Yeah.
We start seeing these things pop up, and we've mimicked them. But in our church context, to do that, what's the point?
I mean, obviously, it was obvious that it's going to reach more people. You know what I mean? It truly is reaching the lost. And I think for a lot of people, especially my generation, church can feel intimidating, outdated, something that was for our parents, not for us. And so I think that if we can stand in the gap and be like, yes, like, we love Jesus. He changed our life. We think the highest things about God, but also God's approachable. And like God wants to know you and wants to walk with you and wants to be with you. And so I think, and I mean, I'm not like, I don't see a trend and I'm like, this is going to bridge the gap for unbelievers all the time. Sometimes it's just funny, and you know what I mean? And if we're using the same audio that other people are using, it'll get pushed on their feeds, and maybe they'll stumble across something called X Church because we use this specific audio, and they like give church a second thought, or they come in person. You know what I mean? So I think it's more like outreach, but also I think, the heart of our church is we are imperfect people that believe in a perfect God. And so I think the more that we can just have fun and not take ourselves too seriously, I think the better.
Well, that's so I was going to use the phrase I was about to say is it shows that we don't take ourselves too seriously. And so probably some of the criticism recently is they say we also don't take God very seriously. So
or the sacraments.
Maybe not God, but so again, and you listened to the we had a conversation. We tried to get you on the last second, but you
said no.
You were in a meeting,
just like you really said no.
You were at Chipotle.
Oh my gosh!
But I mean, you are the author and creator of a lot of our reels, so I'm so curious your thoughts. And you've been, I feel like, incredibly patient and gracious and responding to so many people. And I've listened to the email responses you've given. I feel like it's been very gracious and humble. And then we sit down here, we're about to start, and find out that somebody with over 1 million followers is reposted the baptism reel and talking about it
and created their own reel to slam the mockery that ensued.
So I'm curious, maybe unpack sometimes the process you have in the ideation of these reels, and then walk me through what is your response that you walk through when it gets backlash. Because the truth is, the bigger we get, and when you go from, I heard a leader say one time, 1 hater for every 100 fans. So if we had 1,000 followers back in 2020, we probably got maybe 100 bad comments a year. That's, I don't know. But now with 13,000.
Yeah. I think
Especially if something goes viral.
That's what's hard is like figuring out. I mean, having an audience that size, you never know what's going to take off. Like, you could have told me that reel was going to get 20 likes and like 10 comments.
Yeah.
And I would have believed you. You know what I mean? So it's always hard to gauge what's going to explode. But I think with this reel in particular, it makes me sad a little bit because I'm like, when you do something with like the best of intentions and like, then people say that and you're like, oh, that's not what I meant literally at all. And I don't know. I felt like for all the people that I emailed, which was a lot, and like DM'd back and forth with, I think I just felt sad for them. And I felt like you didn't understand my intention, which I can't control that.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything, I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like I have a decent gauge at like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that. Or maybe we shouldn't jump on that trend because it could come across like this. And I feel like with this one, I didn't expect it at all. Like, I didn't even for a second. Like, and I feel like I pretty much have a pretty good pulse on, like, that's too far, or that's weird, or that could be received as this way. So I think that, I don't know. It made me pause, and it made me think about, like, I can see where they're coming from in some ways. Like, I can see how if you just saw that and you had no context of, because
I would laugh if I saw it.
Well, yeah. But like,
but some people are different in the way they
there's
see
like
it.
comments that are like, I don't understand it, and it's like, well, you don't know OSU versus Michigan.
Yeah, you
like,
don't live
even
here.
know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So I can understand how if you lived in Wisconsin and you didn't follow sports and you saw that, you'd be like, what? Like, they're saying you have to be a fan of this team, but I don't know. I think it just made me pause and feel sad for them that they don't understand, and just I tried to just meet them with grace and be like, this was my heart. This is what I thought.
What was the percentage of people that, whether it's DM or emails that send in hate, or we can call it critique, that you took the time to articulate a response? How many of them actually re-engaged and had a conversation with you about it?
One.
Yeah.
See, to me, that's actually the most sad part.
That's I was almost going to ask you, do you really think there's any value in responding to them?
Yeah, I mean, I did for this one. I a little bit felt like maybe I should have seen this coming. Because I feel like there's other people that have told me, like, oh, yeah, I kind of paused when I first saw it and was like, oh, this could blow up. But I really didn't. So I kind of felt like I owed them at least a little bit of an explanation. And I'm not going to change their perspective.
Yeah.
But I can at least show, like, I'm human and I'm just trying to, like, I mean, I think in one of my emails, I'm like, I can't control what blows up, but, like, I can control my intention and that I want people to follow Jesus and know God, and truly did not have an ounce of, like, man,
You were not trying to diminish.
You were
or
trying to
disrespect.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I took the time to respond, and I don't normally, like, we had a reel that went crazy where people were interrupting you, and there were a lot of pastors that were upset and said, like, this is so disrespectful to his ministry, and, like, what he
Amen.
does.
Amen. I posted it on TikTok, and it has like 400,000 views.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and it's still going. There's still comments that pop up every day. It's
Did you feel
ridiculous.
disrespected in your ministry?
Incredibly disrespected, man. I'm sitting here trying to have important conversations with people. People coming up and asking me the dumbest
I had
stuff in the
eggs for
world.
breakfast.
Yeah, I had eggs for breakfast. Okay, it did put me in some awkward positions. Let's do it that way. I'm like, okay, and I'm talking to people, pour out their, pain to me, and it ended up being really funny.
Yeah. The other
But
thing,
it was awkward in the moment, that's for sure.
the other thing that's intimidating about running socials is you know, a lot of accounts will, especially on TikTok, like they'll have one post that goes crazy.
Yep.
And they get all these followers, and then they keep doing that, and sometimes like they get their engagement just completely drops out, and they have all these followers and this big following from one post.
Yep.
Our church did not blow up on one post. It's been like a gradual
Steady.
increase over 5 years to get up to that, and so our engagement is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With that post, did we lose or gain followers?
I don't know. It won't. I mean, I think me and Lydia looked. I think we got like 175 followers in the first 24 hours from that reel, like people that followed us from it. But I don't know if it tells you like, because if you click on the reel and they click on your account and click follow, it like tracks that. But I don't know if it like tracks when you click on it and click unfollow. You know what I mean?
I think what most people would do in social media, like let's just think of our own practice, right? You see something that you think is so all the hate comes from people who aren't going to follow, or they're going to follow so that they can hate on it more. So there's one of two things happen. Or people, if you see a reel or somebody creates something, you're like, that was really good. The next thing you do is you go to that main account. Then you start watching some of the other ones. If you like some of the content, then you're like, oh, okay, that's worth a follow. So it's whatever. It probably has it can have a positive impact, even if there were some negative people or,
Yeah.
you know, the way they take it. And
Yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, overwhelmingly, like it wasn't like the biggest regret of my life and something that I think about every
well, that's
night.
good.
That's good.
It was there was a lot of positive and people that thought it was hilarious and people that followed us because of it. And
I think the only people that hated on it were from Michigan.
Well, honestly, I don't
That's what I
know.
think.
Like, I didn't think that we had. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't feel like maybe a very small percentage of the critique was from people that actually went here.
Yeah.
It felt like
Oh,
most
yeah.
of it. In fact, I had somebody reach out after our podcast came out and was just like, "Hey, I hope you didn't mean this, this, and this because the way you said this came across wrong to me." But you know what? Like, I have a relationship with this person, so I'm like, I can actually appreciate like you sharing that with me and us having an honest conversation. And part of it was, and I haven't gone back and listened, and so it's very possible. I said, look, when you talk off the cuff every week for 5 years, you are bound to say some things wrong. I can listen back probably to a dozen of our podcasts and think, oh, I wish I would have said that way, or I wish I would have said this, or not said that at all. But he was like, the way to him it came across was, oh, if you didn't like that reel, if it's not your cup of tea, there's other churches out there. And I was like, oh, that's not what I was saying at all. What I was saying, like, I mean, one of the things we talk about.
Yeah, it's not like go to another church if you get mad. Yeah.
We talk at this table all the time. Like, one of the things I love about our church is there's so many people that see the world so differently and have so many different views and opinions and beliefs. And I would never say that. What I was trying to articulate is most of the critique came from people that don't even go here, don't understand our context, and are probably more from traditional backgrounds that wouldn't like our humor. And thank God there's different styles out there for different kind of people. But I don't know. Then I was thinking, I was like, you honestly were probably even more gracious than I was in some of my response. And then I'm just curious, maybe just like on a spiritual level, y'all's thoughts on this, because then I'm reading 1 Corinthians yesterday, and in basically 1 Corinthians 8 is just talking about, you know, if whatever you do causes your brother to stumble, I wouldn't do it again, you know, and, you know, for their conscience is weak.
Well, I don't think this would cause anybody to stumble.
No.
The post. I'm just saying, applying it to there. I would not think that should cause anybody to stumble. But
No. But he's saying, therefore, if what I eat causes my brother or sister to fall, I will never eat meat against. I will not cause them to fall. It's talking about sin.
Sin. Yep.
Yes. But anyways, I felt this is what I'm processing. I'm just gonna process out loud. Curious y'all's thoughts. Is I thought, okay, maybe I could be more gentle. I feel like I was kind and everybody responded to. But I admittedly, when it comes to when I sense what feels like to me a religious spirit or a legalistic kind of thing, I admittedly don't feel like I have a whole lot of tolerance. And part of that is, and I'm not trying to Jesus juke, I feel like when I see Jesus, Jesus was always incredibly gentle with the world. And he was pretty harsh with the religious. Like people that, strain gnats in his words, people that were nitpicky, fault-finding, uptight, religious. It's almost just like he didn't have time for it, and he was pretty brutal. And so, I don't know, I was just processing with God. I'm like, okay, where's the healthy line between that
Yeah.
and I want to be gentle towards my brother or sister that see things differently than I do.
Right.
And so I don't know, I was just processing that, and I felt just like a little bit of check of, okay, Russ, like, I understand, but make sure you keep a spirit of gentleness towards people that don't see it the same. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It's probably
It's just
good thought.
something I was just processing.
Yeah. I think from my experience, like growing up in the church and obviously like connecting with different churches throughout different seasons of my life, I think that a lot of churches carry this mentality of like, I have it figured out, and my way of church and how we do things is the right way.
Right.
And I think what I love about this place is I've never felt that. Like, I've never felt from you like this is right. Like, if you don't have this at your church, then you're wrong. And so I think with socials, I try to carry that same posture. Like, I never want to think like, even when I meet with people that like smaller churches, I've met with so many different people that are like, how did you do this? Like, how did you grow? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I looked at what was right in front of me and I tried to make the best move that I thought was possible. And I have just like poured my heart and my time and my energy and my soul into it. But I think that that's the difference, is like the posture. Is like, I never want to come across it like I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because all of those people that were DMing us, I mean, some of them could have been just hurting, you know what I mean? And it like just struck something in them, and I don't want to meet them with, well, if you can't handle that, then
Right.
don't follow us. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like I try to meet them like right where they were and assume the best in them. But I think that especially churches, it's like my biggest pet peeve. And just who I am, like I never come across like I have it all figured out. I'm a little bit messy, and I don't know. I think that kind of posture is so much more approachable and allows you
Yeah.
to have such better conversations when you show that you're human and you don't always get it right and you don't have it figured out. And like I said at the beginning, like that's what I feel like God's taught me about creativity, about everything is like the higher up you get, everyone's on the same playing field.
Yeah.
Like nobody has the code. You know?
Right.
Yeah. I love
Which is
that.
both liberating and like at times terrifying.
Yeah.
I forget what book I was reading that literally was like one of the principles. Nobody really knows what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, you said you learned that in other creative circles, so you bring that back and you exhibit that through our social media. I think that just a couple of thoughts that I think of is, I think in general we almost always try to be charitable
Yeah.
in response to people that don't understand why we would do something the way we would do it. Even if we get annoyed sometimes and frustrated. So we do. I think in general, that's what we try to do. And I actually love that you do that. Like even, again, I feel like you almost never change anybody's mind
Right.
about the way they feel about something you put out, you said, you did. This is what I've experienced. I think if you can at least shape the way they view you outside of that, then maybe a response, maybe it's worth the effort. You know, it's like, oh, I don't like that, but they were really nice when they said, you know what I mean? Then that's great, I think.
Yep.
And then the second thing is I think one of the things that you do exhibit through our social media is and I think one of the important things about it is that it's an expression of the culture and a little bit of the flavor of the church. And I think one thing that I like about what we do, even though we probably approach the line sometimes, not in heretical, and that's definitely not in a mockery type of way, but just in some of the like funny stuff that, you know, we just put out there. It's like most people are like, why would a church do that? And I think that's kind of part of the point, is because, as you said earlier, I think if you look at often what churches have used social media for, it's their bulletin board. All it is just posting, hey, we have this event, how we have this, we have that. And that's fine, but we have to recognize in today's culture that social media is the front door. And when people are looking at your social media, I don't think that they're trying to figure out your content. I think they're trying to understand your culture. I think they're trying to understand who you are. And that's an individual, and I think that's a church. They're trying to go, do I feel comfortable? What's the I don't know. What is the milieu of this? You know, what is the ethos of this? I think the spirit is what people want to know. And I think that's one thing that we try to embody. We do have fun at church. We do fun things at the movies and 30-second theology. And, you know, we we don't take ourselves too seriously. And yet at the same time, we really believe that Jesus is the Lord and Savior of our lives and of the world. We really do respect that. We respect the sacraments. We just, the ironic thing is that was posted that was posted like 6 days after we just had a big baptism weekend. And it was an incredibly worshipful, reverent moment. We baptized 67 people and that day. And so we absolutely believe in the importance of that. And I think it's just us trying to give a flavor of our culture and our ethos through our social media, and it not being corporate and it not just being for information, but people feeling like, there's a personality behind it. And every church has a personality. Every organization has a personality. And you need a person with personality to run your social medias if you want them to express personality.
Because really what you're giving people a window to is the community. It's people. And I think a couple of the myths that probably need to be, in my mind, destroyed. Number one, serious doesn't mean spiritual. Like, there's that kind of thing, and sometimes in higher church that if you take it seriously, that means you're spiritual. You can take something serious without taking yourself too serious. And joy is just as spiritual as the sacred. And laughter
is good medicine, right?
And community and I think too, like, we compartmentalize what we call spiritual. But when you just show people, you're giving a window into this community as human. And when you give a window into that matters just as much as one of the religious activities you would deem as spiritual.
Right. I remember going to college and like trying to find a church, and I'd grown up in the same church my whole life. And so I was like church shopping for the first time, and there was this church that everybody had talked about, like all the people that have gone there before. They said all these horrible things about it, like, oh, they're this, and oh, they're that, and they're flashy, and they do that, and they whatever. And you'll never get to serve on the worship team because it's just the elite people and blah, blah, blah. And I went and ended up interning there and working there for a little bit, and God used that space to completely transform how I view him, how I see him. And I feel like it just has made me carry something with me that I'm not quick to say this or that about a church, because I heard all of that. And like, if I would have taken that and never, like, God would have never done X, Y, Z in that space. And there were things like in any church that you don't fully agree with, or you don't fully like, 100%. Like, that was my whole college career at church, was like, there were some things, like somebody would come to me with like a word from God, and it was like not for me, I didn't think. But just following Jesus, you just learn to know his voice, and you learn to like know and just decipher through. But like, when I look back at that season of my life, like, God used that church to do radical things in my heart, in my mind, in my community. And if I would have let the naysayers or all of those people that had all of that stuff to say, like, make me not go there, I don't know, you know?
I love that. It's just a great reminder, because all of us, to an extent, if we're not careful, do that with churches. And I think most of us do it with certain types of churches, depending on what type of church we work at. I was telling him, I had a great conversation with a guy yesterday at a coffee shop, a new coffee shop in town, and a great conversation. And he goes to a smaller church, and that's awesome. And so I asked him, I'm like, because he had moved from Nashville, I'm like, so, why this church? Why the church you loved before? And he goes, I'll just be honest, like, I love small churches. I was like, oh, that's great. Like, why? He was like, I just think community matters. I was like, 100%. And he just said, he's like, in my experience, he said, it's really hard to find deep community. And so he kind of went on a little bit of a sermonette about why community this day and age is so important. And I just told him, I said, I 100% agree with that about community. I said, for me, I think sometimes we can lump all small churches like they're the same, or all large churches like they're the same. And I said, weirdly enough, like at our church, we've had a lot of people that have all come from small churches and said this is the first place they felt welcome and at home. And I said, what I've come to realize is the depth and nuance of the spirituality of a church and the richness of the community of a church actually only has to do with the spirit of the church, never the size of the church. And the truth is, you can walk in small churches and feel excluded and like it's judgmental and it's a little club, or you can walk in sometimes big, cold, sterile churches and feel that, and vice versa. And it's just a good reminder, like, it's the spirit of the church, not the size of the church, and not maybe the reputation you've heard from people
not the social of the church. We're sticking with S's.
The social of the church. And So I think that's a great reminder, and I love the humility that you're talking about. I think it's a great reminder for all of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things we're talking about when we mention this podcast is this is kind of an anomaly, the disproportionate influence in a way that our social media especially has of our church compared to the size. There are a few churches like that. I think that we know of that, you know, churches that are doing great things, but just weirdly enough, for whatever reason, the influence or the social media following is like 10x. And, you know, by the grace of God and a lot of kudos to you and what you've done, for whatever reason, it does feel like the social, I know, you know, Pastor Tim, as you travel, you'll meet with people that will say, man, I saw this post or this inspired me. I saw what some of the team's doing. So it is interesting that disproportionately the social media influence is like 10x the actual size of our church. Like we'll meet people, they're like, I thought your church was like 30,000 people. It's like, no.
Yeah, I think too, like churches gatekeep a lot. And I think that we created this creative broadcast channel where we were literally giving whoever wanted our PSDs to our graphics and be like, this is how we did it. Or like we'd film a reel and it would go crazy. And then Lydia would like post a tutorial like, this is exactly how we filmed it. This is how I edited it. Same with like our bumper videos. Like Truman will show the video on top and then show all the cuts that he made and like all that it took. And I just think that that's refreshing, especially for people that work in a church. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like what I was talking about earlier, like our way is the best way. You feel like you can't ask for help and you feel like nobody wants to give help because they want to be better and they want their church to be bigger.
Yeah.
And I think having the posture of like, here's how we did it. Like this is, I mean, whenever I meet with the church, I'm like, I'll send you a screenshot in the Google Sheet template so that you can start scheduling your post because it changed our life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just having that posture, I feel like God's just blessed and honored that. And, and honestly, given even just me personally, like a community of creatives that are outside of here to ask for feedback, to get thoughts on things. Like I'm in an iMessage group message with however many is the maximum. I think it's like 40 is like the most. And all the time, it's just people sending graphics, getting feedback, sending videos. How does this come across? Cool. Sending social posts. And I actually sent that baptism reel in there. I'm like, what do y'all think about this?
You did? I was going to ask. Did you put it in there?
It was... None of them knew what OSU or Michigan was. But I wanted like outside perspective. So I think it's given me just...
What'd they say?
Like just, I don't get it. Or like, haha, I think it's funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of people didn't understand OSU versus Michigan.
Well, they're creatives.
Yeah,
they don't.
Not big
follow
sports
football.
guys.
I mean, I'm not either, but I understand it was rival weekend.
But you're here.
Yeah.
You're here. If they're in Oklahoma or if they're in Kansas or Idaho, then they're not. It's, you know what I mean? Like, you're at least, you see it. You hear it.
Yeah.
You're in the bed of it.
Yeah.
OH.
I Let's go.
What's really funny is all of this, and I didn't watch the game. I didn't even know. I had to look up if the game was this week to make sure I recorded it. Like, I don't know sports at all.
Yes.
Just the irony of it.
It is.
All you cared about was just mocking baptism.
Well,
apparently.
There was no subliminal messaging because I couldn't tell you one player that plays for Ohio State.
Just saying. Julian's in. Just trying to give you a quarterback.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep, that's it. That's it. Ben Roethlisberger. Yep, he plays for Ohio State.
Ben Roth, what kind of burger?
Here he goes. Paxton Blue.
Paxton Blue.
Ben Roethlisberger was a NFL quarterback.
Why do all these football players have made up names?
Go to Ohio State.
For the Steelers.
They played for the Steelers.
Okay. There we go. And you think that's his real last name?
Yeah, I do think it's Roethlisberger.
Okay. Well.
Go sports.
Go sports.
Go sports ball.
Yeah. That was fun. Thanks for coming on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I love hearing I feel like you express your heart when you get on here about your craft and how you use it to glorify God and disparage Michigan.
Yeah.
Go Bucks.
Well, and the real principle is don't mix sports with spirit.
Yes.
That's apparently
So,
that's what we
Learn
learned.
that.
All right. Thank you for listening. If you have any other complaints, send them at tucker.johnson@dx.church. We love you. We'll see you next week.
Hey guys, it's Russ. Thanks so much for listening. We really believe if we can get around tables instead of behind screens, if we can talk to each other instead of at each other, we can make the world better. To help us do that, here are a few things you can do to help. First, if you haven't yet, leave a review on Apple or Spotify and hit subscribe on YouTube. This helps more than you know. Also, if you have been impacted by the community out of which this podcast comes, that's X Church. Maybe you're local or you've been touched by the messages and impact across the country, even the world. I want to encourage you to support this work. A powerful life principle is to invest in the people and places that invest in you. And so I want to invite you to do that right now by going to thex.church/give. You can give a one-time small gift, a sacrificial gift, or even become a recurring partner. Together, let's keep elevating the conversation, thinking higher, loving deeper, and making the world better. Cheers.